Welcome to the Eat This Book podcast. I'm Michael Whitworth. Each day we take a small piece of scripture and we sit with it. Not a quick snack that disappears before lunch, not a chore you check off of a list, but rather a meal meant to be savored. So pull up a chair. Let's eat. Well, this is episode 13, and we're talking about Genesis chapter 3, verses 14 through 19. This is the darkest moment in the Bible so far. Everything has fallen apart. The serpent has deceived. The fruit has been eaten. The hiding, the blaming, the fear, it's all come crashing down. And now God speaks, and his words are heavy with consequence. Curses, pain, toil, death. It would be easy to read this passage and hear only judgment, only loss, only the door of Eden slamming shut. But if you listen carefully, there's something else buried in the wreckage. A promise, a flicker of light in the darkness, the first gospel. Look at verse 15. God is speaking to the serpent. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. This is strange language. Enmity between the serpent and the woman. Conflict between their offspring. And then this. He, a single figure, one descendant, will bruise the serpent's head, and the serpent will bruise his heel. Theologians call this the protoevangelium, the first gospel. It's the earliest hint in Scripture that God has a plan to undo what just happened. Before the curses on Eve and Adam are even spoken, God announces that the serpent will be defeated. The enemy wins a battle in Genesis 3, but God is already promising he'll lose the war. Notice who God addresses first. Not Adam, not Eve, the serpent. Before God deals with the humans, he deals with the one who deceived them. And his words are not a warning, they're a sentence. Cursed are you above all livestock and above all beasts of the field. The serpent is judged, immediately and decisively. I think that matters. In the moment of humanity's greatest failure, God's first move is to confront the enemy. He doesn't start by condemning Adam and Eve. He starts by declaring war on the one who brought them down. God is on their side, even now, even after everything. But it's verse 15 that carries the weight. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. There will be a war, an ongoing conflict between the serpent's line and the woman's line. The battle that started in the garden won't end there. It will stretch across generations, through history, an ancient enmity playing out over and over. And then this, he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. He, it's singular, not they, the woman's offspring in general. He, one descendant, one figure, one person who will come and deliver the decisive blow. The serpent will wound him, a bruise to the heel, painful but not fatal. But this coming one will crush the serpent's head, and that's fatal. Do you see what God is doing? In the very moment of announcing consequences, he's announcing hope. In the breath between the serpent's curse and the woman's pain, God plants a promise. Someone is coming. Someone who will finish this. Someone who will crush the enemy and undo what was done in the garden. The Bible will spend the rest of its pages answering the question, who is he? The whole Old Testament is a search for this figure. Is it Abel? No. Cain kills him. Is it Noah? He's righteous, but he gets drunk and shamed. Is it Abraham? He's faithful, but he lies about his wife. Is it Moses? He leads Israel out of Egypt, but he doesn't enter the promised land. Is it David? A man after God's own heart, but also an adulterer and a murderer. Every potential candidate falls short. Every hero has a fatal flaw. The promise of Genesis 3:15 echoes through the centuries, waiting for fulfillment. Who will crush the serpent's head? And then, in the fullness of time, a baby is born. Born of a woman, the offspring promised in the garden. Born into the conflict, into the enmity, into a world ruled by the serpent's lies. And when he's grown, he goes to a cross. The serpent strikes, The heel is bruised. It looks like defeat. It looks like the end. But 3 days later, the tomb is empty, and in the resurrection, the serpent's head is crushed. What looked like the serpent's victory was actually his destruction. The wound to the heel was real. The suffering was real. The death was real, but it wasn't the end. It was the means by which the ancient enemy was finally, decisively defeated. Genesis 3:15 finds its answer in Jesus. Here's what I want you to see. The gospel is not an afterthought. It's not plan B. It's not God scrambling to fix something he didn't expect. The promise of a deliverer is spoken before the curses on humanity are even pronounced. Before Eve hears about pain in childbearing. Before Adam hears about thorns and sweat. Before death is announced. God's plan for redemption comes first. The fall is barely finished, and God is already talking about how he's going to undo it. The serpent thinks he's won, and God is already pronouncing his defeat. You are not an accident. Your rescue is not improvised. Before the consequences of sin even landed on humanity, God had a plan, and that plan has a name. This doesn't erase the pain of Genesis 3. The curses are real. Eve will suffer in childbirth. Adam will fight thorns and sweat and exhaustion. Death will come for both of them. We live in the wreckage. Every funeral, every hospital, every broken relationship, every ache in your bones, that's the curse at work. We feel it. We groan under it. But we don't groan without hope. Because buried in the curse is a promise, and the promise has been kept. The offspring has come. The serpent's head has been crushed. The decisive battle has been won. We're living between the victory and the final consummation. The serpent is defeated, but he's not yet removed. The kingdom has come, but it hasn't fully arrived. We wait, and we hope, and we trust that what God started in Genesis 3:15, he will finish. So here's what this passage offers us today. If you feel like the enemy has won, like sin has destroyed too much, like the damage is too deep, like the serpent's lies have taken root and there's no way back, Genesis 3:15 says otherwise. The serpent is cursed. The serpent is doomed. A deliverer has come, and the enemy's head is crushed. If you're living in the pain of the fall, the thorns, the sweat, the broken relationships, the shadow of death, you're not alone, and you're not without hope. The curse is real, but so is the promise. The heel was bruised, but the head was crushed. And if you're wondering whether God has a plan for you, whether your story matters, whether there's any point to the struggle, look at Genesis 3:15. Before the first human tear fell, God had already spoken the solution. Your redemption was planned before your failure was complete. He shall bruise your head. The serpent loses, the deliverer wins. That's the first promise, and it holds. Next time on Eat This Book, the garden is lost. Adam and Eve are sent out, east of Eden, into a broken world they helped create. But what if this exile is more than judgment? What if being driven out is actually an act of mercy? In our next episode, we'll sit with Genesis chapter 3, verses 20 through 24, and discover why God blocks the way back, why death enters the story, and how grace quietly shows up before the exile even begins. If you've ever wished you could go back, undo a choice, reopen a door, reclaim what's lost, this passage might change how you see both judgment and hope. Join me next time as we learn why the way back is closed and why the way forward is just the beginning. Thanks for eating with me. Until next time, may the Word dwell in you richly.